I'll play you a bit from the Bach Chaconne, written since it was written for solo violin. So yeah. That's important to me to kind of have that both feet firmly planted in classical music, and because we're trying to gain more audiences, win them over to the classical music genre. We're not trying to go out. That's cheating in my kind of sense of things. We're trying to bring them over by doing certain pieces that, you know, for example, we could do a Hungarian folk kind of piece, or Bartók, for example. Bartók was very kind of, you know, you have this kind of like that kind of rhythm, and you could really produce, that's still classical music. We've kind of, or, you know, Piazzolla, some kind of tango music, I mean, or, you know, you've got all that option to sway people who might, you know, be bored of Mozart, or might not just have that kind of, they might not want to venture into that just yet. They might have to go through a series of steps. So we have so much at our disposal. I don't think I need to go into Michael Jackson or to, you know, to do that kind of stuff to win them over. Well, Mozart for me is kind of a very classic piece, of course. Classic in the classical music sense as well. And as for the contemporary part, the only contemporary part is, for me, the interpretation, which is me being alive now, contemporary, and also adding in the cadenza, my own interpretations of the piece. So here we have a section of the concerto where traditionally the soloist would basically improvise on themes earlier in the concerto by the composer, in this case Mozart. However, suddenly now we have this, it's a lost tradition. Nobody does it anymore. And it's kind of funny to me. I suppose there could be several reasons. It could be intimidation. You know, everyone's just kind of doesn't want to step out of their comfort zone, which I think is a very classical music thing. That's kind of, for me, the source of the problem of classical music, is that everyone's just kind of, nobody's willing to strike out new on their own on new things. Because, and not because, I mean, people do want to strike out, but I think there's a lot of criticism for people that do. So you've got people at the top criticizing the bottom, or rather not artists, I mean, in particular, but I feel like as a young artist, you have to be careful how you act, how you know, it's not just about the music. I wish it was so simple, but it's also how you display your image, and I mean, there's so many things, and it just seems that it's kind of counterproductive to widening classical music. Everyone knows we have to try to reach out to a greater audience, but when somebody actually does it, they have to do it in the exact right way. Otherwise, you know, people will criticize them. And I don't know if that really makes sense. Whether or not to strike out on your own or to kind of stay, I think stay is a part of a generation. I think that no matter what you do, you will be part of a generation. It's natural. That's just a category you belong in. That's, shall we say, not even, yeah, that's a category. But you as an artist, as an individual, everyone's striking out on their own, and everyone kind of moves together. I mean, one's an age thing, one's something you cannot change. The other is how far you go. So I think in my mind, they're two very different things. Actually, it's funnily enough, Facebook is apparently not cool anymore, and everyone's talking about that, or rather, that it's for a specific age range. And I find that myself, Facebook is used by people who are between the ages of basically 18 till 80, really. Actually, pianist Eleanor Sokolov, who is, I think, oh gosh, I think she's around 100. She is 90 something, just gave me a thumbs up the other day on Facebook. It was remarkable. So, you know, we look to other platforms such as Instagram. It's becoming huge now with younger people. That's usually around the ages of 16 to 20. And then Vine, of course, you know, even younger, 15 to 20, 14 to 20, and so forth. So we try, as an artist, I try to appeal to as wide of a range of an audience as I possibly can, because you never know that who might come across a video, for example, and decide, oh, well, I might just check out this person. He's funny and interesting, and maybe I might like his music. So it's just kind of putting out feelers more into casting a wider net. And I think that's really something that artists now have to do. Well, I think that personally, from my point of view, I see a lot of young audience coming to my concerts. So, and I think that it's important to have that as an artist, because you build your audiences. People come to hear the music. So you've got already the traditional, you know, very frequent concert goers who will go, they're subscribers, and then you have people who are only going to go to a certain person. For example, they might only come to so-and-so's concert. Then you have people who haven't been to any concerts at all. So basically, you want to cast the net into this third kind of category to make them become second category people, and then hopefully, you know, become first. But you're not trying to convert all of them into each step. I mean, some people will remain in the third category, some people will remain in the second category, and that's fine. But at least by reaching out, you are not, because most artists, let's face it, kind of only reach in the first category. I mean, they'll just play their concerts, and then after, you know, they'll go walk on stage, bow, play the piece, then bow, then go home. And there's nothing interesting about that, I think. And so, you know, then you have people who try and obtain new audiences, and that's basically what I'm trying to do here. That hopefully for myself, but also for classical music as a general, I think that's something that you see people like Yo-Yo Ma, Lang Lang, they do perfectly. I just think that Yo-Yo Ma does this whole kind of appeal to new audiences so well. He's willing to try new things, and really that's kind of the face of classical music, what the face should be, because it's kind of to defeat that stereotype that classical music is just so boring, so uninteresting, and Yo-Yo Ma just does everything to dispel that notion. Personally, I've played in a lot of unconventional, shall we say, classical music venues. I've played in anywhere from like Le Poisson Rouge, which is actually becoming conventional. A lot of classical music artists are going there, which is basically a kind of bar where you would ordinarily probably hear more kind of rock concert setting, although very intimate, to anywhere to busking on the street. I've done that a few times just for fun, as a student, and also later on, kind of if I see a friend who's busking, I'll go over and help them busk, and it's always a fresh flavor and people come and gather, and then it's also fun as well. It's a different type of performance, of course. And also simply maybe I'll be at a restaurant and so will tell me, hey, that's their birthday today. And I'll just whip out my violin and play Happy Birthday.
Can you play Happy Birthday for us?
Whose birthday is it?
Mine.
Is it your birthday?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Wow.
But let's pretend it is.
Okay, so if it were your, for example, so-and-so tells me, it's her birthday over there. So I'd probably do a sneak ninja attack behind, you wouldn't know, and then suddenly I would be like, which key? Yeah, first of all, sometimes there's a singer with me, and the last time I did this was in Brussels, and there was a singer, and we had to have a little pep talk, like a little game plan, which key, because it was important that I didn't do a key that was too high or too low, like awkward. Yeah, they're right. So I think we did it in D major, which starts on an A. See, that's the reason why I had to think there for a second. And then, something like that, and everyone would be like, that was great, and everyone has a great time, and then you basically do a ninja surprise attack on them for their birthday.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.